This car is practically unknown in Europe, despite having a total production run of some 1.4 million units. It was innovative, efficient, modern, and affordable, but it never really took off commercially. The one, the only, Chevrolet Corvair. The number of roadworthy Corvairs in Germany today is estimated at around 30, a real rarity. Uli Dietmar is the proud owner of more than one. You might not believe it at first glance, but the Chevrolet Corvair was designed as America's answer to the all-conquering VW Bug. The VW Bug had taken so many market shares off Chevrolet. Besides, Chevrolet was not represented at all in the small car segment at the time. Chevrolet's aim was to create a compact car with good gas mileage, family-friendly, a nice price, and above all, a match for the Bug. The Chevrolet Corvair debuted in 1959, but with a nod to American tastes, it was considerably bigger than the VW Bug, and it came with 4 doors. But its asking price was barely higher than the Spartan VWs. By American standards, the Corvair was very small, just 4 meters 50 long. It was unusually light, too, weighing in at around 1,100 kilos. Corvair sedans of the first generation are practically extinct today. Uli is about to resurrect this model in a barn outside Munich. The 2-door versions are not quite as rare a sight in Europe. There's the slick-looking convertible, for example. In this case, the Monza equipment version. Many people find it hard to decide. Does the Corvair look more American or European? As it turns out, German and Italian designers adopted some Corvair features, such as its characteristic twin headlamps, seen, for example, in the NSU Prince. This 1964 edition was originally shipped to Switzerland, one of the Corvair's few official markets on the eastern side of the Atlantic. In Europe, however, the Corvair remained a fringe model. Back in the U.S., it boasted annual sales of up to 300,000 units. Stateside, there was a complete model family with a sedan, a 2-door convertible, and coupe, plus a station wagon. Showrooms even featured van versions similar to the VW bus. All Corvairs had rear-mounted engines, 6-cylinder alloy boxer units, initially with a 2.4-liter capacity, air-cooled with 80 to 150 horsepower. It was the first rear-engine production car made in America, but that's where the Corvair's problems began. Fitted with a rear-mounted engine and swing axle suspension, the Corvair was an extremely sporty affair by American standards. Drivers used to big cars weren't prepared for the dovetailing effect. Out on the racetrack, it performed well enough, but on regular roads, the average American driver found it hard to cope with the rear-heavy oversteering. The result was a string of accidents. The Corvair was a sports car, and the average American drivers didn't know what to do with it. They drove like crazy, and then the rear would suddenly come up. There were accidents, but with hindsight, things weren't all that bad. The car was far safer than any other vehicle on the American market back then. Chevrolet responded by launching a totally reworked Corvair. The second generation looked as if it had been designed by an Italian coach builder. The coupe version, in particular, is now considered a classic piece of styling. And there were plenty of new developments under the exterior, too. The rear-mounted engine was now mated with an independent suspension, much like in the Corvette, going a long way towards safer handling. But the damage done, image-wise, was irreversible. Plus, the new Ford Mustang was an immediate hit with buyers in the segment. The Corvair's sales figures never recovered. For many Corvair fans, the second, improved generation with its fine body design is the most desirable version. Uli likes the Corvair because it's such a rarity in Germany. It's not so well known, he says, because it's totally un-American. It combines a range of innovations never seen on American cars, before or after. The Corvair was the ugly duckling of the U.S. and has always been underrated. Uli's Corvair convertible boasts yet another special feature. In 1962, the Corvair became the first production car with a turbocharged engine, a 2.7 boxer unit. The later turbo version puts out 180 horsepower. It makes the dash to 100 kilometers an hour in under 10 seconds and reaches a top speed of around 190. Not bad stats for 1965. Most people say nothing beats an American V8 engine, Uli explains. But when you say the Corvair has a 6-cylinder boxer engine that is rear-mounted, air-cooled, and turbocharged, people are astounded. Only German cars, like Porsches, had 6-cylinder engines, they'll say. By 1967, it was clear the Corvair sales figures could not be salvaged. But General Motors didn't give up on it for another 2 years. Although one of Chevrolet's more exotic specimens, today Corvair owners have little trouble finding spare parts. It's almost perfect, comparable with the Bug in terms of distribution across the U.S. In most cases, you can get hold of spare parts within 2 or 3 days in Germany. Solid engineering and no shortage of spare parts. Those few people who have their hands on a Corvair are unlikely to part with it willingly.